Outfitted with cameras and sensors, this autonomous robot is verifying price signs and looking for out-of-stock items.
These cameras on the side are capturing images of the shelves that are then uploaded to our cloud environment to determine what products are out of stock, what's mispriced, what's in the wrong position.
Inventory is one of the biggest challenges retailers face. Missed sales from empty shelves and out-of-stock items cost U.S. retailers $82 billion in 2021, or about $1.6 billion a week.
So this would tell us that the Snickers is low, and we probably need to get more Snickers dropped from our back stock and brought out to the floor.
Almost half of retailers said out-of-stock items were their biggest challenge in fulfilling customers' orders.
Retailers are spending a lot of money to know what's coming into their stores through their inventory systems. They know quite a bit about what they're selling and that are leaving their stores. But in their stores on a daily basis, they don't have a very good model of what's actually happening on their shelves.
Isn't it funny? When I hear these blackety black channels a lot of times, and they having these conversations, they fail miserably to be able to talk about the technology aspect of things, and they fail miserably of how the solution for you actually being able to level up and become more successful. It kind of reminds me of, and I say this often, it kind of reminds me of the black church, right? And that in the black church, you can heap and haw and you will shout and you'll praise God for the next 2 to 3 hours. They're going to blow and they're going to kiss you and they're going to hit you in the head and you're going to fall out and you're going to catch the Holy Ghost all over again and you're going to speak in tongues and all of this other type of stuff, right? And then at the end of the day, you're not going to have any real solution as to how it is that you can live your life differently that'll allow for you to be able to level up. You don't have any new financial information. You don't have any information on how it is that you can raise your family more effectively. You don't have any training services, no skills, no way in which they can pour into the community. But they continue to seek for donations and they continue to seek contributions. And then more importantly, they also make sure that they participate in every charity and building fund. And so as you continue to build these large edifices, you don't necessarily get anything that allows for you to be successful throughout your regular life. So when I see a lot of this stuff, when I see a lot of the leaders, one of the things that I'd like to see in the black community, since y'all culture is so awesome, I'd like to see the people that are at the forefront of the movement. I'd like to see what they've actually built. I'd like to see the jobs that they provided people. More importantly, I'd like to see their background as far as with it being in STEM. I'd like to understand whether or not they understand sales in corporate America. Even being a sales engineer, that would be awesome, right? I want to see the background and the credentials for the people, not necessarily of whether or not you went to theologian school, but if you understand commerce, America, technology. One of the reasons why I was having a conversation and I was champion for a little bit of time, Andrew Yang, on the Democratic side for president, this has been documented. I actually donated to the campaign, volunteered to the campaign and stumped for him. Wasn't because he was a Democrat or because he had believed in his $1,000 a month for each family. I never thought that would pass anyway. So I started looking at the other policies and I realized that he understood technology, trade, and more importantly, what was coming from technology companies in other countries, such as Taiwan and the war that China was having for chip technology and semiconductor chips and things like that. And so because I felt like he understood technology more, he was better suited to understand exactly where it was that we was going from a global economy or a scale, right? Doesn't mean that he had better policies or anything like that. We can debate that. But my point is that who's actually best equipped to give you the information that you need in order to be successful long term in the black community? Is it the pastor? Is it your black leader? Is it the person that rile you up within the black community to say, rah, 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 against immigrants? Fight the power. Fight the power. Is it the people that protest and make signs? Is it the what do you call them? What do you call those people that be standing out on the corners and they had them shingles on the bottom of their shirts? Hebrew Israelites? Is it them? Everybody keep preaching that Jesus is already here and Jesus is coming back. But they've been preaching that for the last 300 years. In the meantime, you dying today. You poor right now. Let's continue.
But an army of inventory robots is being deployed that would help retailers appease angry customers, boost sales, and respond to the ongoing worker shortage. Almost 900,000 retail jobs were unfilled at the end of November 2022. The retail industry employs more than 30 million Americans.
You know what the funniest part about this whole thing, though, is? They coming for all of the jobs over here. I went into the grocery store the other day, and every single aisle was open here in the Dominican Republic. Every aisle was open. I couldn't see anything that was out of stock. It was a bunch of people working. They had that dog in them. They was working. Meanwhile, during the pandemic, I seen everybody trying to get off and get unemployment and get some free stimulus checks, not even realize that they was running up inflation.
Retailers are competing in a very tight labor market still, and they're often having trouble filling jobs that are more physically intensive, like packing a box or refilling a shelf. So instead, they're using robots in some cases or automation to fill those types of tasks and having people do skills that use their brain, that use some of the skills that a robot would have a harder time replicating.
These robots are really going to help brick and mortar to evolve and capture sort of the new market where you can order online, pick up in store.
The inventory robot market is a $34 million industry. Other companies in the space include Simbi Robotics and Bossa Nova Robotics. So what impact will inventory robots have on U.S. retailers and the
Let me tell you what impact that they're going to have. The people that's going to continue to make the most money are the people that's in STEM. The people that think that they're going to survive and they think they're going to continue to protest for $15 an hour are going to be replaced. We already see it happening, and it's happening at an exponential rate. Even when you think about chat GBT and artificial intelligence and the amount of jobs that's being lost already to that, the people that are impacted the most are not the people that are in the industries that are developing the technology or using it effectively. The people that are being impacted the most are the people that's on the ground floor, and that's a part of the middle class. They're solving for issues that they have to deal with as far as people calling off because workers don't call or robots don't call off. They solving for the problem of people stealing because robots don't steal. They're solving for people at the cashier's desk because the cashier's desk don't steal. The faster that they solve for the technology aspect of people, the quicker that they're going to replace you.
livelihood of its workers.
They'd rather spend $100,000. I heard New York spent $750,000 for a couple robot taxis. They'd rather do that than put 6 new police officers on the street.
Keeping shelves fully stocked has been a full-time job for retailers in recent years. Fewer truck drivers, higher fuel prices.
Why is keeping shelves stocked an issue? Because it's not whether or not they can find somebody to stock the shelves. Because it's missed sales, it's missed opportunities. See, retailers are not thinking from the perspective of how is it that something is wrong with the people that we got hired. That comes along with it. You're going to automatically solve for the people that you're deeming or you're dealing with that's making things difficult within whatever business that you run. You automatically solve for that and you automatically deal with it. Rita, what do you got going on over there, honey? Honey, what are you doing? Let me show it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why?
It went open.
It would open. It's down. You just open it from the outside.
I couldn't get it open.
Well, that's what you get yesterday, because I was outside upstairs and I was trying to get your attention. Hey, Rita, help me. And she's sitting there looking at the phone like this. But you automatically solve for what it is that you have going on in society. As far as from a worker perspective, if you can figure out how to increase sales by making sure that the products that people really need is still on the shelves, instead of having humans or individuals scanning for it themselves, and then half the time you can't even find nobody to come into work.
Prices, supplier issues, severe weather, and changing consumer preferences have caused a shortage in everything from toilet paper and eggs to baby formula.
The baby formula shortage is getting worse.
Grocery store shortages are back again.
Tonight, empty shelves lining more stores nationwide. Some retailers.
The biggest problem that people have, and even us, right, and some of the companies or the businesses that I'm invested in, even the restaurants that I'm a silent investor in, one of the things that we try to solve for is using the data to predict what's going to happen prior to it happening. So we trying to predict how many people are going to come into the restaurant on this day based off of historical data, based off of if it's a significant weekend. Do you got an event happening in this particular city or area or downtown or something like that, right? And so then that determines how it is that we can staff it, how much food you need for this particular thing so you don't have a shortage. You want to pre-order and have things solved for, because the more that you have to be reactive, the more it's going to cost you, right? And this is one of the things that the robots are doing, but at the same time, with being able to do that, you prevent yourself from having to spend more money on regular everyday people.
Complaining product shortages are becoming as bad as they were at the start of the pandemic.
An out-of-stock item is when a shopper leaves a store without purchasing what they intended to buy. The product could be in a warehouse, in a different aisle, or on the shelf, but blocked by a sign or display.
The biggest challenge that supermarkets have today is out of stocks. Being able to, really handle how to get inventory on the shelves.
Have y'all ever walked into a grocery store and seen some junk that looked like that? I'll just walk back out. I'm willing to overpay. I'm willing to overpay to go to the right place that actually got everything I need than to go and get the cheapest possible price for something that may or may not be there. I'm willing to overpay to get the thing that I need than to deal with some foolishness like this. I won't even go into a space that looked like that.
That's their number one challenge today.
While some issues are driven by supply, demand is also an issue. The rise in pet ownership in the US, for example, led to shortages for products like food for dogs and cats. About 23 million American households adopted a pet during the pandemic. And the problem isn't necessarily a new one. A key component of retail operations is having the correct amount of inventory on hand.
What is up with dogs? I don't understand about this whole pet thing. I think we are. We might be the only people who don't have a little critter running around. I don't know what that is. Even I seen grown men. I seen a guy who was the guy that was the bodyguard for what was his name? Jada Pinkett's boy toy.
Yes, I know you're talking about the guy with
Who the Jada Pinkett's boy toy? You don't remember what his name? August Alsina.
Yes.
Yeah, the bodyguard for August Alsina, right? This dude is like 6'7", cock D's and all of that. And I think I seen him with a little poodle. Like, what is wrong with that? Why is everybody gotta have poodles and dogs? I don't understand it. I don't understand how everybody got a poodle. Shout out to y'all. I'm reading Super Chat shortly. I don't understand how why is everybody so obsessed with pets right now?
And making it available to shoppers. On average, for every dollar U.S. retailers make, they have $1.35 worth of inventory in stock.
In the old days, 20, 30 years ago, the way of reconciling our data with our reality was to do physical counts. We would send people down the aisles and they would physically count. We'd have 6 of this item, 2 of this item. They'd be punching it into a handheld device and it would be flagging anything that was mismatched. This could take weeks.
Not having a product available for purchase, while frustrating for a customer, is potentially disastrous for a retailer. Out of stocks cost retailers not just the loss of the initial sale, but in some cases the loss of a secondary sale and potentially the loss of customer loyalty.
Got that right, because I'm never coming back. I can't stand, well, the Valmat that we have, a lot of people don't understand. We call Walmart Valmat around here. The Valmat that's over in our areas are pretty good. They're pretty good with the prescriptions and everything like that. But I can't stand the possibility of going into a space and they not having I'm not driving nowhere. At this point, we order everything, and we even do, what is it called? Instacart? Is that what you use, Instacart? We get all of our stuff delivered. If you learn how to solve a problem in society, ultimately you will be a lot more successful than people that don't know how to solve a problem. If you learn how to fill a void, fill a gap, solve a problem, one of the things that I'm looking at investing in right now is level 3 chargers. Level 3 chargers. And so we did the numbers, and it's possibly going to cost me anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 per level 3 charger. But the problem is finding the right businesses in order to install them at. So right now, what I have going on is I got a guy that I hired from a sales perspective to go out and try to sell and work with different gas station owners, in which we foot the costs for building in infrastructure for chargers, especially in rural areas where there's less competition, and then we split the profits 50-50, right? And so one of the things that gas station owners in our communities and in Metro Detroit, I'm heavily immersed in investing in what's going on in Metro Detroit. One of the things that gas station owners are concerned about, based off of the communications that we have back and forth with my sales guys, is they're concerned about the costs versus the return on investment and how long it'll be a return on investment, considering that it's still a budding industry, but because you have to go so far out of the way in order to get to a level 3 charger, they wondering how they can mitigate that cost. Now, because I'm trying to get rid of some money and I've started a new company, and I won't even name that company, but I've started a new company, what I'm doing is I'm saying, listen, I'll front the upfront costs for having a level 3 charger. Now, the problem is a level 1 charger is a trickle charger. Level 2 chargers, they okay, but it take too long in order to charge. But if you get a level 3 charger or a supercharger, and you have to work with the utility companies in order to do that, and there's also some huge incentives from the Biden administration. Man, I'm about to give so much game to my Patreon members. I'm about to give so much game to the Patreon members. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. There's a lot of incentives from the Biden administration. How do I know this? Because I learned a lot of it from the people that I sit next to at the Pistons games, right? And so because we connect and we learn, and some of them actually own gas stations, and one of the guys is building a house in my area, we went and had dinner together. And what they explained to me was all of the incentives that went along with making sure that you continue to build the infrastructure, especially with electric chargers in the United States, and how much money you make as a result of it. Now, because we're footing the entire cost, we're the ones that get all of those kickbacks from the Biden administration, but we fronting the money up front. And so I promised him that I would partner with him. And what we doing is we're partnering with different gas station owners in order to bring level 3 chargers, because we don't want people to have to go to other places just to charge their cars. You should be able to deal with it the same way that we deal with it as far as gas cars, to be able to charge a car, but you should be able to charge it in less than 25 minutes, 25 minutes in order to get your charge popping. So we got a lot going on, and it's a lot of investment. And so the more money we make, the more money we look to get rid of. But we looking at it from a 10-year perspective versus looking at it from a short-term perspective. We don't care as much about the things that everybody else care about. We looking at everything from a business perspective long-term. But my point is, and the reason why I wanted to show y'all this video was to give you some insight and inspiration behind, if you're able to solve a problem, that you can more than likely benefit from a financial perspective from the emerging economies and emerging technologies. And it doesn't have to be looking to get a job. You can also profit significantly from the incentives that's given to you from the infrastructure deals, even if you don't like who it is that got voted into office, right? So it's a lot of money out here. A lot of people are just not familiar with all of the opportunities that go along with it, because you surround yourself with people that's looking to rile you up and not actually give you any solutions on how to put some money in your pocket.